Hi everyone, this is Dragon GGY. Today I want to share with you my experience with the Arknights Endfield Beta Test 2, specifically on the mobile end. So before everything, there's three things as a heads up. One, I'm no spec and tech YouTuber. There's not many statistics in this video, mostly my experience. Two, I've only played very little animate 3D games on phones, so there's no comparisons with other games, just this game. 3. The device used for this review is iPhone 17 Pro Max, so this is an experience on a high-end spec. So if you're looking for stress tests on a lower-end phone, unfortunately I don't have one, nor do I have spare accounts for that, so yeah. With that out of the way, let's get to business. Conclusions first, I think the performance of Endfield on a mobile device has exceeded my expectations in terms of graphics, optimization, as well as adaptation to the mobile platform. Graphics, of course, are not on the same PC level, but they are still visually great. The game is smooth, with very little sightings of lags or extreme frame drops. For experience, the adaptation of exploring, combat, and factory are all very nice and is easy to get a grip of. UI on mobile is also user-friendly, face to the eye as well. So in summary, I can give a big thumbs up to the mobile and integration. On graphics, I'm of course playing on Ultra all across the board. As one of the games featured in Apple keynotes this year, Endfield is set to support ray tracing as it officially comes online. It's not available in this test yet, and you're also locked to a maximum of 60 FPS. I also have to manually set some of the graphic settings to highest on first login. So again, conclusions first. Since I've played the earlier tests, I can quickly tell where they downgraded the graphics on mobile compared to PC. The render scale of textures, especially for the map, is visibly lower due to the scale down of model face count and processing of edges. It's understandable that it's not as crystal clear on mobile. But, and this is a big but, these are only clearly identified when I check the footage on PC. When I'm playing on the phone, since the screen is significantly smaller, some of these details you don't notice unless you stick your eyes to the screen and observe. Other than some lightings that are clearly not for mobile, it pretty much resembles the experience you get from playing from a desktop screen. A lot of the real-time process storytelling are great even on the phone, and there's no major problem I can pick from it. When moving or looking around, I also noticed some dynamic blurring, very minor but enough to trick your eyes into believing. I've wandered around the hub on zip lines, and although you can clearly tell that they nerfed the terrain, you don't get much of a vacant view when you look across the map at a vantage point. So the final product stays loyal to Endfield's exceptional art's direction on the environment. Huge props to that. Now, with environment out of the way, let's talk about characters, the key of a gacha game. Since the burden on rendering the environment is likely very high already, plus the full character on screen, you can notice the lowered model quality once you zoom out. And I did a stress test here to take photos on the high ground of the hub, and it is very noticeable. But if you do zoom in on one character, well, the details are still neat, like Levantine on screen right now. Here's another view, a look at Yvonne and the environment. And her close-up is very good looking, the renders are on point. So overall, there are compromises made to both the environment and characters, but the balance is there to avoid having one of them stands out very awkwardly. That's a great boost to experience. And if you go into the character menu, which is free from all the environment rendering, the model quality in there is marvelous. Of course, the textures are not on the same level as PC, the edges are not as sharp, but the quality is there, and it almost feels like you're watching video footage captured on PC. That's my genuine thought when looking through all the characters. So again, our spotlight is on Yvonne here in the footage. The dimmer reflection on her shoulder pads, and the more intense one on her PVC looking sleeves. They do not differ too much from what you see on PC, and I call that an absolute win. So in summary, the graphics are on point, reserving the unique environment art and character models with minimal compromises without sacrificing the visual experience. They've done a great job. With graphics out of the way, let's talk about optimization next. This is a rather broad term, basically it includes how it runs on the phone and the overall performance. My iPhone 17 Pro Max has the 819 Pro chip, so in terms of performance ranking, the closest processors are the Snapdragon 8 Elite Generation 5 and Dimensity 95000, slightly behind. You can find the reference in the description down below. Well, conclusion, while under full ultra settings and doing screen recording at the same time, Endfield plays smoothly on the 60 FPS baseline 90% of the time. I look back at the recordings to check the exact frame rate and find out that even in a really messy outdoor battle with tons of enemies here, the game runs above 50 FPS most of the time. The only time that I can clearly tell there's a frame rate plummet is when I've been playing for a couple hours non-stop, and also during that stress test I've just shown, which I think you may have noticed back there. Other than that, the whole experience is smooth, no lags when zipping around and moving the camera. That also applies to the factory, but since that I have not progressed enough to have a massive factory, that part may remain to be tested later. For heat generation, I think that is very dependent on different device, but for my case, yeah, the phone definitely heats up a bit. During the test, I was in the room at 24 degrees Celsius, played for a couple hours on a naked phone. It doesn't burn your hands to the point that you can no longer hold on to it, but yep, you'll most likely want some breaks in between. Finally, for performance related, the game is 23.74GB on my phone. And since apparently VA for different languages are integrated together this time, it may have a chance to go down later in the official release. And during my test, I also paid attention to battery consumption. I played for 1 hour straight on ultra, highest brightness, and screen recording, which takes away 28% power. Again, the variation is wild between devices, so that's for reference only. Overall, the heating, battery performance is within expectation, but the key gaming experience, for example when running around and in battle, those are smooth as silk. Considering that the graphics are super good, at the same time, that optimization gets another thumbs up from me. Lastly, let's talk about the adaptation. For combat, most of the buttons are customizable, you can move them around and adjust their size and opacity. For me, the skill buttons are a bit too small, so I bumped them up a little. Since the game doesn't really require you to swap characters all the time, I left those untouched. One thing that I really like is the design where you use ultimates by holding down and dragging out the skill buttons. It's really easy to get used to. The progress bar on the left will tell you when it's ready. Another tip is that there's no click attack and hold attack difference in Endfield. You hold down the attack button, the auto attack sequence is automatically performed. This will take some time to get used to for ACT players. Also, skill buttons are automatically hidden once you get out of battle, so that you don't misclick when navigating. That I really like as well. Vibration feedback is also available on phones like with controllers. You get them while zipping, doing attacks, skills, combo skills, or being hit, etc. Characters like Legvating get a really satisfying feedback hitting multiple enemies in her ultimate. Chaining combos is also a peak experience as well. This is configurable in the settings, by the way. For exploring, I ran a power route that I have done in the last 2 tests over and over, and trust me, that experience is almost identical to when I'm playing on PC. Planting these constructions does not come as a trouble at all. The landing spot of the infrastructures moving with your wheels stays very loyal to how they behave on PC. You also get an auto sprint option so that you will automatically start running once you hold down the left paddle, freeing up the other hand so that you can adjust your wheel more easily. And lastly, for the factory, well, let's just say it's mobile gaming time, baby. Be sure to enter the top-down wheel, it's so good. A lot of the neat details suggest that they have actually spent time on it. You move your wheel on one finger, zoom in and out by pinching your 2 fingers, and you hold to enter multi-selection. Nothing counterintuitive at all. On the belt placement mode, you only initiate a placement on entry and exit spots of the infrastructure or on an existing belt. At first I thought it's gonna be 2 fingers for moving, but nah, it isn't that complicated at all. Because there are a lot of options, they also collapse some of them into this toolbox menu to keep the screen clean. Once you start with all the operations, unnecessary buttons are also hidden for a cleaner interface to work with. So after some time grinding on my phone, I genuinely think doing factory on mobile is legit. Not inferior to PC whatsoever, perhaps faster as well. I'm not a veteran at factory games, so I may be wrong, but that's my take. I like to play it just like how you play Arknights, hold the phone on one hand, do all the work with the other, or just put it on the desk during that brainstorm. It's relaxing after all. And finally, some touch on the UI. Well, it can't really go wrong, right? UI and UE are both great. Info dense, yes, but not to the point where you feel like you're gonna get knocked out by a text wall or not being able to find interactable buttons. My personal favorite is, of course, the character menu. It's denser than the PC version, but fits in all the elements perfectly, while leaving this luxurious place to showcase the character. Love it. So overall, in adaptation, other than getting used to the rather many buttons, there's very little trouble learning to play on mobile. No major problems on integration, like it's ready for phones at the very start of it. Exploring, combat, factory, all three major gameplays are natural and complete on mobile end. That's gonna be the impression so far. If you like the video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe. I'm very intrigued to see how the later Wuling City runs on mobile as well, and may do an update for that. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.